Episode 71, Perfect Rhetoric for a Polarized World.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
Perfection in personal supremacy. Whatever. Welcome to the very best podcast in the world, the 71st. It's the 71st episode, the second of the new year. No, the third one, or whatever. This episode is about a very polarizing figure. Therefore, I have chosen the name of the episode wisely. However, I need to start about 20 years ago, when I was a young Padawan and trainee in vocational training for in the insurance industry or in the finance industry, with being specialized in insurance. Now we got it. And we had several trainings. The insurance companies, most of all ours, the one I trained with, were, very generous in giving us sales seminars and teaching us how to sell, and psychology seminars, NLP, and so on and so forth. And speaking of NLP, we had a very ingenious trainer that we met, or that we got the benefit, the generosity of the company to be trained by. And this guy was, nothing out of the ordinary. Imagine the following scenario. You've got, north of 100 young, some of them puberteering people sitting, all the egos were ostentatious. The ego of especially the guys, in field service, they were out there. These guys were, one bigger, louder than the other. And I was one of the loudest at the time. And we were all sitting there, and anticipating what they had planned for us. They'd invited us for a week of training to their own hotel. And it was just very interesting. So, 2 or 3 days in, we were sitting all in the big auditorium and waiting for this dude to show up, who was, I don't know what the exact title of the thing was, but I remember the guy as if it were yesterday. And so the guy walks in, past all of us, and immediately you could feel his presence. And he was so good at words and polarizing us, really motivating us. It was polarization, motivation, to a degree, maybe, yes, in a very screwed up way. And that was my first encounter, really, with such motivating entities. And now think of Donald Trump, what you wish. But there's... the guy has a talent to polarize, and he's very good at rhetoric in a very negative way sometimes. But that's what we're going to be talking about today. Starting a bit further back, everything Trump said, society bought. Otherwise, this guy wouldn't have become president. So that's the thing of politicians, though. The same politicians that only months ago told you that if you didn't adhere to the COVID measures and lockdowns and everything, that you would be killing grandma. And not even a year later, these same dudes pass laws to make it, make no liability claims possible against the pharmaceutical companies that rushed vaccines to the market, some of which are based on technology that hasn't worked and has been experimented on since the 1960s without success. And you were the one killing grandma. And that's kind of like what I'm talking about. The world has gone to shit in this, where does this polarized world really come from, and why do we all buy it? And if you haven't listened to the episode that I mentioned with referencing the social dilemma, I recommend you listen to that because that kind of takes social media into perspective. But we still have a lot of generations consuming conventional media, and conventional media is trying to follow suit in trying to keep up with the money that your social media outlets are making. So as a consequence of that, there's no more, or much less, I should be fair, much less quality journalism. It's all about clicks. It's all about selling ads on their platform, because if you can get supposedly the same news for free on the social media outlets, why should you pay a journalist for an article? Because the traditional media outlets haven't fathomed the consequences of their ignorance towards the internet, as have many other businesses. The problem is that, if your mom and pop operation in the city goes broke and bust because they didn't want to send their packages through the internet, the death of journalism has a much more dire consequence, right? And, when even well-established media outlets known for quality journalism, and particularly those already, subsidized by state contracts like the German public broadcasting and the BBC, when even their journalism takes on the quality of tinfoil hat wearers, and Fox News and whatever, and have to resort to clickbaiting to get people to read their articles, their very quickly produced articles in favor of good research journalism, then something has seriously gone to shit. And I think there is no reason, nobody with a reasonable mind that would kind of doubt that something is really wrong. Now, sorry for that. In context to rhetoric and why we have gathered here today, Donald Trump has kind of taken on the battle. He's challenged the media repeatedly with his famous fake news thing. And a lot of people believed him. A lot of people believe him now, even that he's been voted out of office against the next candidate from the geriatric ward. And he's been able to do so because he uses very simple language. That's one of the very most important points. And here is what you can actually learn from the guy for your future communications. So, number one is to repeat repeatedly. Tell him what you want to tell him, and then tell him what you just told him. It's very interesting and very simple quote by my good friend Victor Antonio, a sales trainer. That was a motivational trainer more than anything else. Motivational speaker. Sorry, Victor. Sorry, hands down. And that's very interesting because that's what he does. He will circle around his point with, many remarks and comments, some controversial, to make sure that they get news coverage in whichever way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter. News coverage is news coverage. And that's the technology he pursues, the rhetoric technology. He says what he wants to say. He says it again and again and again. And then at the end of the speech, he tells you what he told you. to manifest his idea, and it works. Number two, value your statements. There's no shame in a polarized world to very extensively use the words best, biggest, greatest, longest, thickest, thinnest, whatever, whatever the value word, verb, no, is it a verb, adjective, whatever, you want to put on it, doesn't matter. Use it and use it repeatedly. Use it together with number one. Number three, set yourself apart as superior with remarks like, a lot of people don't know that. And if anybody knows anything about, then it's me. And so on and so forth. You have to distance yourself from the common people who are idiots. And by remarks like, a lot of people don't know, set yourself apart, set a distance, and make yourself superior. Number four, make listeners feel special. You've set them apart. However, you're good to them, right? And so remarks like, I don't want to say, but I'm going to let you in a secret. That's kind of like the stuff where sparkles come to the eyes of your listeners, right? They feel special because you shared a secret with them that nobody else knows about, except for the billions, well, not billions, but millions of people watching your press conference and seeing the YouTube outtake that gets broadcasted later. But those are like what I figured out to be the four most prominent and interesting things that, gives you perfect rhetoric for a polarized world. Now that we've got that covered, if you know anybody that's, into rhetoric, or you want to share, you want to give better speeches, please feel free, please share this episode with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. That's another very important thing. You'll be notified when the next recent ramblings episode is there. And I think that was it. We'll call it a day. I'll see you tomorrow when we're going to talk. Maybe. No, we're not. We're going to talk about something entirely different. But have a successful day in any case with your new rhetoric talents. If you have already had your successful day, please have a good night. And then we shall see each other tomorrow with a topic that I haven't really decided upon yet. Boom, nailed it. Under 15 minutes. I shall see you guys tomorrow. Looking forward to it.